One of the biggest reasons people struggle with their fitness journey is because they go into it with completely unrealistic expectations. They see a crazy transformation on social media, hear about someone losing 30 pounds in a month, or follow fitness influencers who look shredded 24/7, and they start thinking, why am I not seeing results that fast, or what am I doing wrong? But the truth is, most of what you see online isn't reality. It's a highlight reel. It's in the perfect lighting, the best angles, years of experience, and sometimes even Photoshop or extreme unsustainable methods. And so today we want to help you set realistic expectations because when you go into this with the right mindset, you won't be constantly frustrated or feel like you're failing. You'll actually be able to stick with it long enough to get the true results you want.
Yeah, we see so many people give up like way too soon because they don't see that instant progress, right? But real changes take time, consistency, a lot of patience, and if you're constantly comparing yourself to someone else's end result without seeing the work that went into it, then you're just setting yourself up for disappointment. So here's what's happening when expectations don't match reality. You expect rapid results, you don't see them, so what happens? We start losing motivation, right? You go too hard, too fast, which is a very common thing as well, and you lead to burnout or you get hurt. I think that's one of like the number one reasons people stop working out is they get hurt. Or you'll see fitness as like an all or nothing instead of like a lifelong sustainable process. So instead of falling into these traps, we need to shift our mindset and approach fitness in a way that actually works long term. So let's talk about why expectations matter and how to set them the right way. All right, so what's going on in your world, Mackenzie?
Kind of a lot, I guess. Well, a few exciting things. One is I got a walking pad finally. You convinced me.
Yeah. Walking pad. I am obsessed with the walking pad. I love this thing. It's so awesome.
Yeah, I haven't gotten it set up yet. I'm waiting for batteries, but it's sitting there. It's tempting me every day, so I'm excited to get into that. And then I know the other week I was talking about too how I've been doing my in-body scan and I've been so on point with everything, but my body has not been responding the way that I want just because stress and sleep has been absolute ass. But I'm happy to announce we are back. We are locked in. I just got my most recent in body and body fat is back down and actually to a new low, and then my muscle mass is actually to a new high. So we're back. We're good.
How do you feel about that? Feel like you're excited, like you kind of knew it was happening, or kind of give us an idea of like kind of what goes through your mind through that process?
Yeah, honestly, I wasn't really expecting it to be that good. I knew I was moving in the right direction again, just trying to prioritize sleep and stress. It still has not been great, to be completely honest. So I wasn't expecting any great results there, but it was a little bit of a surprise. Like I knew I was moving in the right direction, but I was surprised it was that good. It is just good to see things trending in the right direction because I have been super on point with everything. So I'm just glad. It's always reassuring when your hard work pays off in the way that you want, I think. Other than that, I did also go to a show this weekend, which I know I was talking to you and Kate about that, but that was probably one of the highlights of my week last week just because I love music. I am very passionate about that, especially going to shows and seeing it live. And I just feel like I never really get a chance to, especially because most of the shows that I want to go to, they go till like 3 a.m. and I cannot do that. My body's not built for that and it just throws off my entire next week. So I have to pick and choose when I do those types of things. But the one I went to this weekend was actually a pool party. So it was during the day, which is perfect and getting out in the good weather. And then you get to get home by like 6 or 7 and do the nighttime routine and get to bed. So it was perfect. And it was an awesome time.
Yeah, that's much more my timeline of what I would prefer as well.
Yeah, and it's such a always battle too. I always get so much anxiety over that because I love going to those shows. I love it so much, but I'm like, it's gonna mess up my whole next week. It's just such a big commitment. I'm so tired going into it, so it's always such a big internal battle for me. So yeah, I love when it's a reasonable time. Can have a blast, dance my ass off, and then just stick to normal routine. So it was a good time.
Yeah, I'm the same way when it comes to sports, especially if it's my team, staying up late. I'm like, I got to stay up late to watch this game, and it's like 11 o'clock, midnight. I'm like, this is the latest I've stayed up in like months, type of thing. And then I'm just exhausted the next day. But I mean, I think it's worth it. Especially with sports, it's kind of one of those things you never know when your team is going to be successful again, and or if it's a big game, you just can't watch it again. So it's kind of a once in a lifetime thing. So I think it's worth it. But yeah, I'm definitely worn out the next day.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's important to pick and choose, just like anything with life, is you got to weigh what's important to you. And I think a lot of times having those experiences and getting out of your normal routine, especially for me, is very important because I'm always locked in. So it's just one of the things where you got to weigh the options, you got to pick and choose your battles. And I think most of the time it is good to just go and be present and enjoy those types of things. Because again, like you said, maybe the only time that you experience it like that. And so it's always good to have those experiences as opposed to just staying in and sticking to the routine.
Yeah, and we're talking about realistic expectations today. And I was just thinking a lot of times for myself, like if I tell myself, okay, I know this is going to be a late game. I'm going to stay up super late. It's a lot easier than if the game was supposed to end at 9 and it's going on extra innings or overtime, whatever it may be, and you're like, so, oh my gosh, like I thought I was going to go to bed. I mean, I found like with kids too, if you kind of lay out the expectations and they understand what's going to happen throughout that day or throughout that month, or hey, this is what we're going to do today, then it's much easier for them to take everything. And even if there's something boring or they don't like it, if they know ahead of time, it's almost like they can just process that better.
Such a good point. Yeah, even with events like that, like you said, if the game's delayed, you can plan around it to be like, all right, I'll sleep in a little bit more that day, or I'll adjust my programming accordingly. Like it's good to plan around that too when you know what to expect.
Yeah, I've also found that instead of just sitting there when I'm, nervous about the big game or something like that, I'll just do stuff around the house. I'll like, sweep while I'm watching, or like put dishes, fold clothes, whatever, so I can like be active while I'm actually watching the game. It definitely helps with that anxiety too.
Right. Anything else new with you?
No, so like we have spring break this week and didn't really go anywhere, so it's just kind of hanging out and getting a lot of work done, creating a lot of programs for clients, and it's been nice because I've had more time to kind of balance like getting all that work done, but also have some time for myself. It's been pretty nice out, so I've gotten a lot of sunshine, which you know me, I absolutely love that. And so it's been a great week, just kind of laid back and chill, but it's been very productive as well.
I love that good balance of productivity and filling your cup and chilling.
Oh yeah, much better feeling.
What do you typically do outside of getting sun to just kind of take care of yourself, pour back into yourself, and fill your cup?
Well, like I normally don't get to work out in the morning during the school year, so that's one thing I always do. I like and I get to take my time, So I get there early in the morning and I don't feel rushed. I get to see a different crowd. You know how it is. There's this typical crowd at different times of the day, so I get to see a different crowd and get to talk to those people. So that's always fun. And then just when it's just I get to come back and I get to take my time, have my coffee, have my shake, without kind of rushing through it in the morning. So it's really just kind of going through my day and just taking my time and being more still with everything.
I love that. That's such a good feeling though, especially when you get to take more time in the gym. I know I love just doing extra mobility and just like really being present. It's such a good feeling when you don't feel rushing, you're like not trying to get to the next thing. You can just chill and be present and soak everything in.
Yeah, that's what it just kind of. And sometimes I won't even do anything extra. I'll just, like you said, I'll soak it all in. It's like I'm enjoying the experience, the atmosphere a little bit more when I know that I'm not trying to rush out the door to pick someone up or to go get dinner or whatever. So.
All right, well, let's start with some misconceptions and biggest misconception people have when they start their fitness journey. I think one is I'll see results in a few weeks. In reality, real sustainable results take months, even years. Yes, you may notice and you should notice some small changes early on and shifts in how you're feeling, energy, sleep, stuff like that. But the major transformations obviously take a lot of time and consistency.
Yeah, and if we want it to be sustainable, sometimes, people will hack their way into losing some weight really quickly, and then before you know it, they've gained it all back. So this is what we're talking about. We're talking about sustainable results. All right, so next expectation is I will continue to lose weight every single week. And reality is the weight fluctuates, right? And if when we look at graphs, there's always those dips and peaks, and sometimes they're small, but we always see that. It rarely ever is just like a straight line all the way down. You'll have weeks where the scale doesn't move. Sometimes it goes up. That fat loss is not linear, and progress is going to happen in those waves. There's a lot of factors involved other than just like your nutrition and your working out. So sometimes we just don't realize that or don't think about it. And so we like to have the scale to be able to kind of look at and have some data for us, but we have to have realistic expectation that it's not going to just go straight down.
Yeah, I feel like I have this conversation with clients on a weekly basis, even the same ones sometimes. Because it is easy to get in your head when you want to lose weight and you go a week and it doesn't necessarily move the way you want or it starts to trending up. But overall, like I have said this a million times, like the week to week, it's all up and down. Like it's a cycle. It doesn't look like you make much progress, but then when you zoom out and you look at the long term, it is trending straight down. But you really just got to zoom out to see the full picture. And I think a lot of times too, like you said, the fluctuations are completely normal, and a lot of different factors can cause you to hold on to weight, whether it's just certain foods you eat, just a night of poor sleep, extra stress, just being out and traveling. Like I just had a client who was out traveling and he said his weight like isn't dropping, and I'm like, all right, it's cool though, let's give it another week, and then suddenly it's back out and they're hitting new lows. And that happens every single time. I'm just like, give it a little bit of time, let's wait it out, and then what do you know, it always levels out the way it's supposed to.
I know patience. That's the hardest thing, right?
Yeah. Another one, another expectation people have is I just need the perfect meal plan or the perfect workout program. And in reality, it's not about having a perfect plan. I mean, the perfect plan doesn't necessarily exist. There's not some magic formula. It's more about the consistency. The best program is the one that you can actually stick to long term. Yeah, there may be a great program that's programmed all perfectly, has all these amazing exercises, but if it doesn't work for your body or if it doesn't work for your schedule and you can't actually stick to it, it's not going to work.
Yeah, I like what you said. If it doesn't, one of the things is it doesn't fit your schedule. If it's like an hour and a half long workout and everyone's like, this is the most amazing workout ever, and you only have 20 minutes a day, you're never ever going to be able to do that. And it's just, you're going to end up failing and you're going to feel like a failure because you're not able to get that in. It's not about the perfect meal plan, not about the perfect program. It's about getting in there when you're scheduled to go in there, and you just got to complete those workouts.
Exactly.
All right, so another expectation is once I reach my goal, then I'm done. It'd be nice, right? You get to a certain point, you're like, that's it. I'm going to just lock it in here, and this is how I'm going to look the rest of my life. But, fitness is not just a short-term project. It's a lifelong journey. Once you hit your goal, you have to keep up the habits that got you there. Now, if you're really consistent, those habits tend to be easier. You become more disciplined and rely less on motivation. Social media plays a big role into this too, because I think that's where a lot of people's like unrealistic expectations come from, because they make it look so easy and they make everything look so fast and they make it look so glamorous, and we'll see a lot of before and after photos, right? We don't see all the hard work that they put in. We'll see that highlight reel and they only show the great parts of it, right? No one likes to show their struggles or their setbacks or the plateaus that they faced, where you'll see like shredded fitness influencers, not the insane discipline years of training that it took to get there, or the fact that they, or those pictures might have been enhanced, right? So a lot of what you see is not real. Filters, angles, lighting, Photoshop, or they'll do things like they'll get to themselves to a really good spot and then they'll gain weight on purpose to show themselves at a certain weight, and they can lose it really fast because they've already kind of that mind muscle memory type of thing, right? And so they can get back to being shredded. It looks like their program is an amazing program and they can get ripped up in no time at all.
Have you ever seen that guy on Instagram? I think his name is like Goob, or that's his handle, and he just calls out fitness influencers who Photoshop and just like do other shit, but it's usually like Photoshop, and like he goes in and like looks at their photos like, oh, that door isn't supposed to be straight, and he'll like go like pull up another picture and be like, oh, here's the actual door, here's what they had. And so he's just like, calling everyone out for photoshopping and editing their bodies. It's crazy how much is out there, especially with people that already look amazing.
I know. And social media is so hard now, especially with AI now. It's so hard to tell like what's real. And I feel like I spend more time trying to look at these people and be like, is this a real photo or is this an AI generated? So, I remember when I was, during COVID, I got into Beachbody just for fun. And I would do my workout in the morning, then I'd do like a Beachbody workout in the afternoon just because I got so bored with stuff. And I remember seeing this guy and I kept seeing him like, he was in the show and he kept popping up on all these like before and after photos and videos. And I was like, what he's doing is like, he would gain weight and then he would lose it real quick. And then he'd get on the show and be like, hey, this is what this program did for me. And he'd gain weight again. And then he'd be on a completely different program. And then they're like, hey, this guy lost 50 pounds on this program. I was like, that's the same guy.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't believe people actually do that. Like that was the first time I've heard of like someone doing that, but I'm sure it's out there all the time too. But even when things are real, you also have to remember that their journey is not your journey. Someone who's been lifting for 10 years is going to look different than someone who just started. And someone whose full-time job is fitness has a totally different lifestyle than someone who's working 9 to 5 or has a family or running a business. That's why comparing yourself to what you see online is a losing game. It's not realistic and it just makes you feel frustrated for no reason.
If you're listening to this and you're like, hey man, I'm way behind, I don't have a six pack yet, or my transformation isn't happening as fast as someone else's, just take a deep breath. Your journey is yours alone. I was thinking Or I was talking to a client and she was mentioning, kind of the thought of bikini season coming up and comparing herself to those people. And I was telling her, one time in my life, I would see someone that was, more jacked up than I was, bigger than I was, or stronger, or, more ripped up. And I would either get kind of jealous about it, or I would kind of put myself down, like, why can't I get to that spot? Or I'm not working hard enough, or whatever it may be. And I finally realized that none of that's good for me, and so I kind of changed my mindset. Instead, and sometimes I tell, but mostly it was just in my head, I would compliment that person. It's complete opposite. And I'd say, oh man, look at that guy. He puts in a lot of effort. His nutrition is dialed in. I would just think about all these things that he does to look the way he does and just compliment that and say, wow, I'm very impressed by that. And I think that's just a healthier mindset. I'm in my own journey and I'm doing a great job. I'm working towards where I want to go, and I'm not worried about what everyone else looks like or what they're doing.
Yeah. I cannot stress this enough. And I know it's easier said than done not to compare yourself to people online, but I just had this conversation with one of our clients too. He was comparing his progress and his weight loss to a lot of the stuff that he was seeing online, especially with just the transformation he was seeing online, and then just the time frames and the rate of weight loss and what people were saying online. And he was getting really in his head and frustrated, almost wanting to give up on the process. And I just really had to continue to hammer that point home. It's like you cannot trust what you see online because you have no idea what the context is too. Like assuming that the transformations are real and not edited and all that, because man, I hope that most of them aren't. But even if it is real, you don't know the full context. Like you said, you don't know what people are going through. You don't know the struggles that went into it. You don't know their background, their history, how much they're actually training, what they're doing, what their habits look like. And I guarantee that whatever you're doing is going to be vastly different than what they're doing because everyone's journey is different. Everyone's habits are different. Everyone's routine, schedules, lifestyle is different. And so you can't compare your lifestyle and your transformation to someone else's, especially when you have no idea what the hell they're doing. So you can't trust that. And it really just is comparing two different things. It's like apple to oranges. His experience is vastly different than a lot of people that you're seeing, especially like we said, especially if you're comparing to fitness influencers or other people that do that, like have all the time in the world to go and train or just are doing extreme, unsustainable approaches. Your experience is going to be a lot different, especially because what we're doing with this client is we are making sure that this sticks because he is one of the people that got stuck in that on-off cycle and just hasn't been able to lose weight. And like, okay, we're doing this for life. We're not trying to see results as fast as possible. Keep that in mind. And so we want to make sure that we're actually doing this right. And so, of course, that's going to look different than all these crazy transformations because people want to post the craziest things. When people lose 10 pounds in a week, that's great for marketing, but what that they don't show is where do they end up in the next few months. I guarantee that they gain it all back and it doesn't stick long term. So it's also comparing that and make sure that you're actually approaching it for the right reasons. And so I was trying to reiterate that to him and be like, hey, we're doing this the right way so that way you never have to lose weight ever again. It becomes automatic. And it already has become automatic for him. And it's funny because just a few weeks ago I was on a call with him and he was literally talking about all the amazing things and how his life has completely changed. How he is now a person that likes working out. It's just automatic for him. He's feeling stronger. He's noticing the changes and less chronic pain. His sleep is better. His energy is up. Losing inch. Like literally everything was on track, including the scale. For the record, he actually hit his target that he wanted. It just wasn't at the rate that he had in his head because he was comparing it to what other people are doing, which was completely unrealistic and extreme. And so again, I was just reading. I'm like, hey, dude, you literally just said, look at this long list of stuff that you said and all the progress that you made. So what's the issue? And so sometimes you do have to just sit back and reframe and be like, all right, what are things that are working? If the scale isn't moving exactly how you want, there are all of these other metrics that are still moving in the right direction. And again, even like I said, he lost 20 pounds in the time frame that we set. And so nothing was wrong with his journey or how he's approaching it or his progress. It was just him comparing himself and then feeling like he was inadequate or not doing the right things or not where he needs to be, simply just because he was comparing himself to someone else and we don't even know the context of that.
Yeah, we learn so much throughout the journey of this too, right? And even if we could just snap our fingers and all of a sudden we get our results, you don't learn much. I like to compare it to like an athlete that comes in to the league and it has immediate success. A lot of times they fade away or they have a lot of issues because they didn't go through that learning curve. They didn't go through those struggles of getting to where they need to be. And a lot of these guys that are like superstars, they came in and they had a lot of struggles before they kind of got to that spot, and just kind of hit their groove. So there's just a lot to be said to learn through that journey, learn about yourself.
I think it's also beneficial to talk about what it takes to actually see a major transformation, because I think a lot of people underestimate this. When you see someone's crazy before and after photo, what you don't see, again, is the years of training that they put in before that after picture, consistency, the meal prep that they did, the workouts that they did, the sacrifices that they had to make, and the discipline of showing up even when they didn't feel like it, when they had rough days, when they didn't have the motivation, or even, like we said, the failures, the setbacks, the plateaus, the restarts that no one talks about.
We really want to put it into perspective, right? So a lot of people are like, oh, I want to lose 20 pounds of fat. Well, I mean, that could take 4 to 6 months, right? If you're consistent. If you want to build pack on some serious muscle, well, I mean, that's going to take years of training, right? And the nutrition is going to be dialed in. Completely transform your physique, we're looking at like years, like, a couple months type of thing. So, that's why the realistic expectations are so important. If we expect results overnight, then we're going to get frustrated and we're probably going to quit. So we want you to go into it thinking it's going to be a long game, because it's going to be a long game and you'll actually stick with it. I think that's the most important thing, that expectation to go into, I know this is going to take time. I need to trust this process. I need to be patient, and I'll get there. I'll get there eventually, but I just got to be consistent and just keep working hard on it, and just keep getting at it.
Since we're talking about comparing yourself to what you see on social media, and sometimes you can't trust social media, I do want to bring up one of my incredible clients, Sean. I've talked about it a million times. I'm sure a lot of people have seen his pictures because it is absolutely bonkers. But he's lost over 100 pounds. He got to, actually, as of recently, he just got new in body. He's at 70% body fat now. And
Come on, man.
I know he's a beast, and his muscle mass is up too. It's insane. But yeah, so I always try to be as transparent as I can when sharing the whole time frame and all the background and everything. But obviously, you still can't see the full picture on everything that he's gone through. And so I was talking with that same client earlier because he mentioned Sean and his transformation. He was comparing himself. He's like, "Oh, I see your client Sean. He had this. Like, I'm nowhere near that, And he started going down that rabbit hole too. And so, talking about realistic expectations, I walked him through everything that Sean has done. And keep in mind, Sean has been at it for over 2 years with me. He trains every single day. He has not missed at all. He has trained, he like lifts hundreds and hundreds of pounds of weight. He pushes to failure. He trains through full range of motion control. He sends me form videos every single day. He's applying my feedback. He puts like a whole novel in our check-in, and we're talking on the phone about it. I'm sending him like 10, 12-minute check-in videos, and he has not missed his macros for years and years. He hits them to a T every single day. Like, he is dialed on point with everything, and he does not miss ever. And that's a level and the discipline it takes to get to that level of extreme, insane results. And so I think it's good to put that in perspective. And I think, and for this client in particular, he's like, okay, like, I'm definitely not going to do that, which is fine. Like, I don't expect most people to. Like, again, Sean is an outlier and he enjoys it. It's become automatic for him. If you want extreme results like that, oftentimes that's what it takes. And a lot of people, lifestyles don't match up with that, which is totally fine. But you can't expect yourself to get that level of results or that quick of results if your lifestyle is completely different. So again, it's just understanding the expectations and what it actually takes to get there.
It took, what you said, like 2 years. And so I think that's when you're comparing yourself or when you're thinking about that, you also have to make sure you understand where you want to be, where your end game is, type of thing, and where you want to be with this. It might be different. So you might want to go out every weekend, and have drinks or eat out with your friends. And that's fine, but it's just going to take longer to get to those goals. And you have to understand that as well.
Mm-hmm. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's the lifestyle that we help most clients get. We want it to be automatic. We want them to see that consistent progress, but like, you need to be able to go and enjoy life and do these things. And especially with a lot of the people that we have, they don't have time to be spending that much time in the gym or super down because they're traveling a lot or have a lot of family priorities or running businesses. So yeah, you got to know what works for your lifestyle. Again, the best plan is what is going to work best for you and your life, and it's going to allow you to be consistent and keep moving forward, even if it's not perfect or even if it's not expedited, because again, that's where you're going to burn out, and then that's where you get stuck in that on-off cycle and it doesn't actually stick.
Yeah, we're not trying to change people. We're just trying to help them improve their lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so how do you go into a fitness journey with the right mindset? So a couple things to think about. One, again, we got to think long term, not short term. So instead of expecting drastic changes in a few weeks, we want to commit to a process at least 6 to 12 months. Focus on those small wins that we've talked about a bunch. We got to focus on that process, not just the outcomes. Said this, instead of saying, I want to lose 20 pounds, say, I'm going to strength train 3 times a week and I'm going to hit my protein goals daily. That's going to get you, that process will get you where you want to be quicker than just thinking, I want to lose 20 pounds. I want to lose 20. Well, how are you going to get there, right? We got to think about what is the plan to get there. But it takes time. So we want to track all forms of progress. So we've talked about the scale, but it's not the only marker of success, right? We want to look at strength gains, progress photos, measurements, energy levels, how your clothes fit. Stay patient, right? So know that we aren't going to see progress every single day. We got to trust the process, focus on consistency, give your body time to adapt, and then celebrate the small wins. I hear myself saying this all the time because I think it's important. Talking to someone the other day, and he was telling me at the gym, he was just telling me all these really cool things that's happened to him in the last year or two, working out and the changes. But then he ended up with like a negative. He's like, oh, I still got some way to lose. I was like, man, you got to celebrate. Like, all those are tons of wins. You got to celebrate. He's like, I know. But I was like, no, celebrate it, man. That's really cool to hear. So, and it can be anything. Maybe you lifted a heavier weight, hit a new PR. Maybe you just made a healthier food choice. Maybe you were thinking about skipping the workout and you did it. Maybe you went to bed 30 minutes early. There's a lot of ways you can celebrate, but we need to make sure that we think about those and call those out to ourselves. So, and that builds momentum, right? So micro goals like I'm going to walk 8,000 steps a day or drink a gallon of water are going to be huge in your progress. And we got to find a plan that really works for you, that you actually enjoy. If you absolutely hate your workouts or your diet, you're not going to stick to them. And so we got to pick something that's sustainable. We want our approach to be something that you can see yourself doing for life. Not just something that you can do, for 4 weeks or 12 weeks. I think all of us can just go at it and motivate ourselves for a few weeks, but it's not sustainable. So we want to find something that we can really use for life, right? And then plan for life's challenges. You're going to have vacations, right? You're going to have work stress. You're going to have setbacks, and your plan should just adjust and not just kind of fall apart. So fitness is not a sprint. It's more of like a marathon, right? But if we train smart, stay consistent, we manage these expectations, we'll see results.
Yeah, at the end of the day, fitness is about consistency, not perfection. If you stop chasing quick fixes and start focusing on small, sustainable habits, you'll get way better results. And it's funny, all the results come when you focus on the long-term vision. So when you set those realistic expectations, you actually enjoy the process instead of constantly feeling like you're failing. So if you've been feeling frustrated because you're not seeing progress fast enough, remind yourself this is a lifelong game. Stay patient, stay consistent, and trust that the work you're putting will pay off. And if you need more guidance, support, or just a place where you can get real information instead of social media nonsense, join our private school community. We're posting new content every week, running challenges, and giving you all the tools you need to succeed. And it's completely free to join. So I'll put that link in the show notes.
Yeah, and if you found this episode helpful, send it to a friend who needs to hear it. Send it to everyone. Get the name out there, and the more people we can help break out of this social media comparison trap, the better. So we appreciate you tuning in, and as always, we'll see you next week.